Hello guys, welcome back. Now, as you can tell by what I'm looking at, I want to talk about Lorelei. Let's talk about like what is she doing? What does she do? Is she good? Is she bad? First of all, she's a 5-star, so don't expect some Anjonala levels. Now, first of all, for those of you that don't know, Lorelei, you can acquire her for free by doing a series of tasks, which is the roguelike. The way you unlock Lorelei is by playing the game. You play the game for a little bit, and then once you clear a run, it's going to give you some points, and it's also going to give you some packages, let's say. Then you go to the Golden Alley, and you will be presented with this screen. Every time you use a packet, and it will look like this, let's say, for those that are points that are not used yet, that are unlocked yet, you click and it says you need one pack. And you can get a pack by multiple packs, actually, by doing a run. The harder the run, the higher the amount of packs that you get per run. Let's assume you win. Even if you don't win, you do get like 1 or 2 packs. So don't worry about like, oh, I need to win. Or you can do a previous, like a lower difficulty if it's too hard for you at the moment. By unlocking all of these 4 lines, you will get the key for the locks for Lorelei. So you need basically you need to complete this page completely to get Lorelei. Once you get Lorelei, now we can go check. Okay, first of all, I don't think we can get P5 yet, but we will be able to eventually. I believe every time, and this it's not available yet. In the next iteration of a series of tasks, will also start getting the Lorelei portraits, and it will be eventually possible to get her to P5. Now, we'll get into that in just a second. First of all, let's talk about the character, right? So the Lorelei, it's up down here. Lorelei, it's like a buffer, debuffer. It's basically, not really, because I disagree, and we'll get about that topic later. It's basically like another type of Sonetto type of character. It's a 5-star that can deal a little bit of damage and buff the allies and debuff the enemies. The only debuff that she applies on the enemies is the weakness, which is pretty good, but the debuff here is to 2 enemies, right? And it inflicts 1 stack of weakness that doesn't increase. It's always 1 stack of weakness, which, if you don't remember, it's minus 25 damage when they're attacking. Like, they deal 25 less damage to us, okay? That's weakness. Now, you can apply multiple stacks of weakness. So you could, attack, do multiple debuff and have multiple stacks, but I'm like 90% sure it doesn't get to minus 50%, you just get multiple stacks. So for the next, if you have 3 stacks, instead of being minus 75% damage dealt, it's gonna be 3 times minus 25. So 3 stacks every time they do an attack. The next 3 attacks, let's say, it's gonna be minus 25. It's kind of a niche debuff. You rarely see this. There's a handful of characters that do this. I believe, I don't remember actually. Let me not say anything then it's not true. No, that's the debuff. It does a little bit of damage and it does weakness. Now, the fancy part about Lorelei is that she changes what she's doing and what she's giving to the allies depending on the amount of cards that you have in your hand, right? So depending on the amount of attacks or the amount of buffs or the amount of debuffs that you might have in your hand, not only hers but the full team, she's going to behave differently in the insight and in the ultimate and buff as well. Now, let's go ahead and check the insight. The insight says that depending at the start of the round, depending on the most common type of incantation in your spell dock, which is basically your hand, you're going to get different things at the start of the round. So this is going to change every round. For 1 round, this is the effect. John Bluepock is calling me. 1 second. Yes, I'm telling them right now. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So John Bluepock was asking me to explain the pros and cons of this. Now, first of all, the bonuses are, if you have more incantation, the card that is the most common in your hand is attack incantation. All allies gain damage dealt 15% for that round. for that round, the start, right? If you have more buffs, it's going to be critical rate 15. If you have more debuffs, it's going to be minus 15% debuff on the enemy. It's like the weakness, a lighter weakness, okay? Insight 2 is obviously critical rate. Obviously, well, it's critical rate, and I3 is right after casting the ultimate, gains Moxie +1 if the attack scored a critical rate hit. So if you crit with her ult, it gets Moxie +1. Okay, so we need to be careful about I1, because I1 says at the start of the round triggers one effect. So you will have this every round. It will check and give you the buff depending on your cards. Let's be realistic here for a second. We are not going to min-max. I don't think anyone is going to be willing to min-max your card and not play a certain card, because that would remove the attack, and now the attack is not the most common card in your hand at the moment. So, and now we end into a situation of oh shit, I can't use this attack, because if I do that next turn, I'm not gonna get the buff that I need. Now, this could be interpreted, I haven't had time because I just unlocked it. This could be intended in two ways. If the spell dock is your hand, it's a little weird. If the spell dock is your deck, then maybe it could be you could have some control over it. But I don't know why I feel like the spell dock, which is firstly mentioned now, by the way, we never had this terminology ever. This first time that I see it, and it's now. It might be your hand. I think it's your hand. It's gotta be your hand. Now, the dog is fucking barking like his life is ending, but he probably saw a fucking flyer in the air, and surely it's not bothering me at all. It's not bothering me at all, as you can see. Now, buff, the Call of the Sea. This is the buff that she does, and this also, this is actually pretty good, right? It's a buff. It is what it is. There's no if, but if, right? No, it's a must buff, grants critical damage plus 25% and damage taken reduction plus 15 to all allies for 2 rounds. Now, this is a little low in my opinion. I feel like it should start with 20% and 30% for it to be really fucking good. It's okay, I guess. You can probably easily do a level 2 incantation, I guess. So sure, right? But the problem that I have with this is critical damage is not as universal as damage dealt plus. Obviously, you can have damage dealt everywhere, so I understand why sometimes they do stuff like this. But we will see something in just a second, and that I would disagree with that. So I feel like this buff is okay, right? It's okay. Critical damage, you need to play her with characters that are critting, and she wants to crit as well on the ult, otherwise she's not gonna get the plus Moxie from I3. Now, the ultimate, what is the ultimate? It's a mass attack dealing 300% mental damage to all enemies. I feel like this is a little low considering she's also a 5-star, so her stats are gonna be lower than a 6-star for this percentage to be meaningful. This attack gains bonuses based on the incantation present in the spell dock. I still think the spell dock is the hand, your hand. Each attack incantation grants additional mental damage. So the way this ultimate works compared to the other systems that she has, this is a little more direct. If you have 3 attacks, it's gonna be plus 20 3 times, so it's gonna be plus 60. If you have buffing conditions 4, it's gonna be 40% critical rate. If you have 5 debuffs, that's 100% penetration rate, right? So that could help with the damage, sure, but that's all that it is. It does damage. So this is kind of a hybrid character. She wants to crit for the I3. She is debuffing the enemy a little bit. She's also dealing damage, and she is buffing the critical damage of the allies and the damage resistance, let's say. So this is it's a little all over the place. Now let's go check the portraits, because we'll eventually get her for free P5. Now, all these portraits are doing, funny enough, because the recent drama of NCN about the power behind portraits, these portraits are pretty tame in my opinion. These are basically buffing the bonus that you are getting from the ultimate conditions, and then the different types that you're getting, the critical rate gain from each buff type and condition is 20 instead of 10. The damage increase effect is increased to 20 on the Melody of Hearts, which is the buff that you get every turn. That's Melody of Hearts is insight. So instead of getting a 15, you get 20. Drifting Song is still the ultimate. Now you're getting the penetration rate is 30 instead of 20. And then at a P5, you get critical rate increase effect to 20%. If you have more buffs, I think it was, when a round starts, buffs than others, then you're gonna, then other type of cards, then you're gonna get 20% critical rate. So those are like, okay, right? They increased a lot of the bonuses from I1, which is good. What I wanted to see from these portraits wasn't an improvement on their ultimate personally, but was rather a improvement. I wanted to see an improvement on the buffs, because if the buff gave me 20%, it became 20% or 25% at P4. P4 is pretty high, right? At P4, if it was 20 or 25% damage mitigation, damage resist, whatever, and let's say 50% critical damage at level 1 incantation, that was going to be pretty good. And here we get into the point that I wanted to talk earlier, which is the Pridwen tier list. Now, in the Pridwen tier list, I saw that Lorelei is S tier, and the reasoning you can check on the changelog. Okay, first of all, she is S tier on overall, she is S tier on standard, she is S tier on raids, and if you switch to CN, she is S tier on 2.1 and S tier on 2. On raids. Now, I kind of disagree with this. I mean, Lorelei, like, I don't think Lorelei she's S. I think she's like A+. Is she better than Anna Lee? I don't think so. Maybe they are. Okay, let's see what they say for the change. Ratings explain. No, this is probably better. Lorelei, the Sonnet of Year 2. Lorelei provides passive damage dealt buffs. Yeah, but they're really low, okay, whatever. It crit damage and also enhances the team's survivability with various defensive debuffs. Yeah, because of weakness and the damage reduction from her card. Sure, but passive damage dealt buff. We are talking about. Let's go here. At the start of the round, the triggers are damage dealt plus 15, but this is not permanent. This come and goes. I feel like, I disagree only due to the fact that the character is very RNG dependent, a little too much for my liking, for me to say, oh yeah, it's S tier. Technically, the kit is S tier if it didn't have anything connected to your card. Now, there's no way you can, I mean, maybe you can min-max if you're being really hardcore. You can like select your cards with another layer of thinking, like, oh, I need to also take into the account I'm playing Lorelei, so I don't want to remove all my incantation because next turn I'm gonna lose my damage. So if you are playing a team that you want the damage dealt for, and on round 3, 4, 7, whatever it is, you use all of your attacks because you need the damage dealt. So you want to use the damage dealt, so you're using your card so you can make use of this passive buff. Now, the next turn you're gonna be left with either all buffs or all debuffs that are most common, right? So now you are losing the damage dealt and you're getting either critical rate, which might be fine, or useless depending on who you're using, or the debuffing the enemy by 15%, which is okay, I guess, which is okay, but it's not what you want. So you can't really control Lorelei too much when it matters, and that's why I feel even like on the ultimate, You can do like you up against like, okay, whatever I had, do whatever, like, okay, more, okay, it happened to be more critical rate, it happened to be more penetration, maybe you need to kill somebody and you do the ultimate, but you happen to have more very low amount of attacking condition, and now you're not dealing at 400%, but you're dealing 320, and it's not enough. Let's say I'm just making an example, right? So I feel torn. I don't think I agree with the S tier. I think the S tier is kind of crazy for her to be everywhere. I really want to know what CN is thinking about Lorelei, because it's important. But I guess we'll see, like on stream or something, on live on twitch.tv/Jakazin, what CN thinks. But for now, I don't think Mercuria is worse than Lorelei when it comes to buffer, right? Like, even if you disagree with me on Lorelei herself and you think she's S, when you go and compare her with other characters that are lower, Mercuria is lower. Why? Because her buff doesn't last as long as if you don't have P5? Is that the only reason? I think she can still be used plenty of time. Anna Lee literally does a better buff than Lorelei on the buff. She doesn't give critical damage, but she gives fucking raw damage dealt plus 15, right? So, I mean, I guess it's a crit-oriented buffer. I understand that, but I think everything else, you can just focus on one card for an S character. For an S tier character, she is on the same lane as Chu, Marcus, and Spatodia. Sure, they're a damage dealer, it's another tier, but she cannot be on the same line as 6. Come on, right? So I think Lorelei is A+ max. Okay, I think that because you can't control her fully. She's kind of doing whatever the fuck she wants, depending on the cards that you have. So, you know, let me not yap too much, but this is what I think. And is Lorelei good? Yeah, she's good, but, you know, she's not like a character that you need to rush to unlock as soon as possible and then I3 as soon as possible. Because, oh my god, without her, this and that happens. It won't. So, you know, this is what I think. Sorry for the kind of long video. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about in the comments. Do you agree with the tier list that you saw, the ranking? I think she's A+ as best. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Fucking dog.